El Maestro Speaks.
El Maestro Speaks.
El Maestro Speaks Podcast.
Here we go. So how's everybody? Yeah, maybe for those who are watching, this is your first time to see this thing I'm holding right now. uh, just trying it out. Not a sponsor, but yeah, we're always trying to find something new. Like I said, hello to once again to those people who are listening, and hope you are all well wherever you are in this part of the world, of the universe. Yeah. So whatever you're doing, you can just put this in the background, right? And do whatever things you're doing. It's the beauty of podcast. You don't need to see my face. Well, my face is ugly in a way, so yeah. My face is ugly anyway, so you don't need to see me. But you can listen to my voice and listen to whatever is the topic that we'll be talking about here. Yeah. So, what are the things we'll be talking about here? Well, first and foremost, yeah. So, the date of the recording of this episode, it's May 1 of 2026, So, yeah. For teachers out there, you have like how many more days? Um how many more days? Like 30, 20 plus days of vacation. Yeah. Remaining days to fix the things you need to fix. Of course. Yeah, there are maybe the last week of May. Yeah. A lot of us will be going to school to report. Because we got a lot of things to fix. And yep. In my case, I still have like a lot of conversations to record. Yeah, hopefully we can knock all those out before the start of this new school year. A lot of changes, and yeah, I cannot complain. Well, I think the best thing that we should do so we won't be stressed, and this is my advice to all teachers out there. Yeah, let me hold my mic this way. So, yeah, the best advice I guess I can give is, yeah, anticipate that there's gonna be change, right? Yeah, you gotta anticipate it. It's been happening. The only thing that's permanent is change. So, yeah, we didn't expect it to happen this fast, but change is gonna come. Yeah, change is gonna come. We gotta be ready for it. So, yeah, just anticipate it. Be ready for it. That's how you will distress yourself. Because, yeah, it's understandable. Some teachers have already set their like routines, have already prepared all the activities that they can give to their children, right? And yeah, suddenly there was a change. Not just on the 3 term from 4, it's gonna be going to 3. And not just that, the writing of lesson plan, that one. Yeah, I'm not supposed to be talking about this in this podcast, but well, I don't know how we went there. Yeah, this is I have another podcast where I talk about those things, teaching related things. So yeah, I'm trying to avoid that here. I'm trying to like make this for all of us, for stories, for you know tips and everything. I try to stay as far as possible on my job. Okay. Talking about my job, but yeah, I don't know how I went there. I'm sorry. Yeah, I noticed a lot of interest ever since I started posting some clips, podcast clips on my TikTok. I noticed a sudden spike on my stats in Spotify. So thank you so much for having an interest to listen to a very long conversation or long monologue solo podcast. Yeah, and yeah, wherever you are. So the beauty of the podcast is just like I said a while ago, you can just put this in the background, and yeah, you can do what you're doing, right? So you can just make us the noise of the surrounding. You don't need to watch me because anyway, you won't be getting anything. Maybe when watching the movie, instead, you'll just be scaring yourself because it would look like you're watching a horror movie if you're going to watch the video feed of this podcast, right? Oh, we forget something. Let's just. Where is that? Where's that? Where is it? Where? Oh, there you go. The hell? Yeah, I just bought that. So yeah, let's make fun of it. So yep. What has been happening the past week? Well, yeah, it's just what are we going to talk again? And I kind of tired of that. I don't want to. Yeah. So, yeah, impeachment. But we have to. Impeachment is now moving. The impeachment of the vice president is now moving to trial in the Senate. Everybody's rushing to just throw her away. I don't know what's going to happen, right? If she once she is impeached, I guess she is not allowed to hold a public position, or he's not allowed to run in public office anymore. So that's what they're trying to do here. It's apparent, very apparent. Even a stupid guy like me can see it from afar. They're trying to kill the Duterte's influence. It's visible. That's what they're trying to do. Anyway, so I would say no one of all those people in the politics, I would say, with the exception of few, no one's got a clean hands there. Everybody's corrupt because, and you might be asking, how could you say that? There are some that is not. Well, so tell me, who are they? Because if these politicians in the government are not corrupt, then why is our country suffering? Why are we still here in this situation right here, right now? So, no one's got a clean hands there. It is actually, like I said, it is, and we've been saying this quite a lot before. It's choosing between the lesser evil, who's gonna steal less from among these choices, among these candidates, who among these people's going to steal less from us. So yeah, the impeachment is not about, no matter how they're going to sugarcoat it, it's not about it's not about having concern on this situation of the country. It is about political survival. It is about how you're going to destroy your enemies so you will prevail and you will stay in power for a longer time. This is what it's all about, you know. So yeah, the way I see it, this thing happening right now, if okay, so because the trial also in The Hague for the old man Duterte is going through. If that old man is gonna be um is going to be found guilty of the crimes being accused against him, for sure all Duterte politicians here in the country will have a landslide vote comes the election. It will be like people's revenge for all these politicians who brought the old Rodrigo Duterte to The Hague. So, yeah, that's what's going to happen. If, because he's an old man, okay, he's getting close to the last chapter of his life. If he passed this earlier before election at The Hague, it's going to be another good thing. It's a bad thing for the family, but it's going to be a good thing on their political careers because for sure all of them will win landslide because it's going to be like a revenge vote. The old Duterte is a massive following here in the Philippines, especially so right after, if you're looking at this, what's happening right now in the country, you can easily see that there's no good direction. There's no clear direction as to where the country is going, as to where the leader is leading us. So, yeah, there's that. Okay, the popularity of this current administration is waning. So, yeah, those things, those two bad things that might happen to the old guy at The Hague will be very beneficial to the political career of his family here in the country. Yeah, that's what's going to happen. But enough with that. Let's go to the thing I want to talk about in this episode. It's about freedom. What is your understanding of freedom? Because, yeah, it's very easy. We can say the easiest thing, the easiest definition that we can have is our, what is that? Our ability to do anything that we want, right? It's freedom for us. That no one's gonna stop us. That we can, the freedom, okay, to do anything we want. That's freedom for us, right? No one's gonna stop you when you do this, you do that. And is that really freedom? Wouldn't that create chaos, right? Because even in a so-called free society, we still have rules that governs us, right? And even if we don't have rules, we still have the notion of good and bad, and our freedom is limited by our values and our morals. So what really is freedom then? You know? So I guess in this conversation we're going to use some references. So I'll be referencing the book Discipline Equals Freedom of Jocko Willink. So if you have already read the book, then yeah, just give your own understanding of what the book was saying in the comment section. We have a comment section now in our Spotify, right? So yeah, share your thoughts in the comment section. But this is how I understand the book. So before we go to freedom, let's talk about discipline first. So yeah, freedom is that, okay, our the freedom is because we are free to do everything, but within the bounds of course, the law that governs our country and our morals. So it says here discipline is equals freedom. So let's start with the discipline feels restrictive, right? So it kind of feels like when we're talking about discipline, we don't have freedom at all. That's how youngsters will view that nowadays, right? So when you, but yeah, like say for example, you have to wake up in the morning. No, you should not eat the junk food. You should not eat unhealthy foods. Like it's very opposite. But why is it that it says here that discipline is equals freedom? Wherein when you're trying to discipline yourself, you are limiting yourself, right? So that's not actually freedom. It is not equals freedom, you know? So how is it equals to freedom? Well, it says here that when you discipline yourself, like for example, waking up early, when you discipline yourself, you train yourself to wake up early, it actually frees you. You'll have freedom because you will not be wasting time, and there's never gonna be a regret. It says here. So an example is a teacher who prepares the lessons daily, so he has more freedom in class because he doesn't have to, or he doesn't have to scramble at the last minute. So does that make sense to you guys, right? So in order for us to like have freedom, it starts with restricting ourselves, right? Yeah, that's the philosophy behind this book. So restricting yourself, a short term, it is discipline is like a short term sacrifice that leads to a long term gain. That's how the book laid it out. Laziness gives you comfort. So for other people, they would say, oh, if we're talking about freedom, I'm free to not do anything, just lay down on the couch, right? But sooner or later in the future, you will like need to work hard. In that way, you have like put yourself in a situation wherein you don't have freedom to do other things. You were jailed in that work to get the things you need because you didn't have the discipline in the beginning. So that's the interconnectivity or interconnectiveness of these two things here, right? So when we discipline ourselves, okay, that is just a short term sacrifice that will lead us to gain a better things in life. Laziness gives us comfort, but will give us pain later, right? And it will lead us to imprison ourselves to a mundane activities, right? instead of enjoying the time or the freedom. Okay, so for example, farmers in the Cordillera wake up before dawn to plant rice. The discipline of early work ensures food security later, right? I hope that makes sense. Yeah. So when we have discipline, so it's always starts with that, right? We cannot have freedom if we don't discipline ourselves. Like what we said in the beginning, that when we say freedom, we still have to align that freedom to the laws of the land, to the laws of our religion, our values, right? So still, that is still having a discipline, right? That is still restricting ourselves in a way. So it is true that discipline is equals freedom, you know. So how can we more give or train ourselves more in gaining our freedom, or how can we train ourselves or discipline ourselves? So things we can do is to have an aggressive default when facing problems. You know, so when we see problems, you have to find immediately. You have to find the solution for it. Don't wait for the problem to start affecting your life before you're going to move. You have to, yeah, once you foresee that problem, you have to start working so you can solve it, or you can prevent it from happening. So, like the doctors are always saying, prevention is better than cure, right? That is right. So, the example was given here is that when Navy SEALs are on the job and they noticed that some of their gears needs fixing, they will not wait till it gets destroyed before they fix it. They fix it right away. So it will prevent you from facing a bigger problem in the future, impeding in your freedom, you know. So in life, it's the same. If we see problems, we have to stop. We have to fix it right away, prevent it from happening, so it will not create a bigger problem that will impede our freedom in the future. You know, correcting the behavior of your child as early as now, correcting it in a nice way, of course, so that it will not create a bigger problem in the future that might lead to you, okay, having his or her freedom sacrificed, and it might not lead to your child losing his freedom literally. You know, fixing the problem right away so it won't cause a bigger problem in the future. That is one of the things you should have, is a disciplined citizen. So, you know, it won't create a bigger problem for you. Okay. Having disciplining yourself. You start with that. You do it little by little. What else? So we can have discipline, which is equals to freedom, like what was said a while ago. So, very simple. When you start things, you should promise yourself that if you fail, if you falter, as you go through the process, you should not make any excuses. No excuses whatsoever. Yeah. Says here, excuses are lies we use to make ourselves feel better when we failed. Say, uh, you made a commitment of having to exercise every day, at least doing a squat for at least 3 minutes every day, right? And then you didn't do it for 3 succeeding days. And what you're going to put as an excuse, oh, well, I'm so tired. Work is important in this one, so I have to choose. But it says here, excuses are lies we use to make ourselves feel better, right? So we have to start making no excuses, and that's how we start building discipline for ourselves, right? So what we're talking about here, going back, is building a discipline to ourselves so we can achieve freedom. Because it says there a while ago that discipline is equals freedom, right? So let's start with having an aggressive default in attacking the problem. And the second is having no excuse whatsoever to whatever goals we laid. Okay? If we falter or if we fail while we are on the process of achieving those ones. Next, we have to control our emotions. Don't let fear or anger dictate choices. Yeah. Common example is that. Yeah. And I always say this. Yeah, I think you got tired of listening to me already saying this. When emotions are high, intelligence is low. This is true. Don't let yourself be controlled by emotion, especially by anger. A lot of people are so guilty of this. Maybe I'm one of them sometimes. Um, when we are so emotional after watching a video or reading a post that you share it with a nasty comment or an angry comment, only to find out that it is an AI creation, or it's just yeah, it's embarrassing. What what's what's terrifying is when you give a comment to something without even thinking, or when you destroy someone else's reputation online without thinking and without verifying facts, or yeah, you just said nasty things online because your emotions are high, that you haven't chosen your word. It's gonna break relationship. It's gonna break relationship. So yeah, you have that. So we have to control our emotions. Fear. Yep, I'm guilty of this. I always have that. What ifs? I always have that, and I ran scenarios like million times in my head because of fear. Well, I excuse myself to say that. Well, it's to prepare myself, so I am prepared, right? But times, um, the main reason why I run scenarios in my head is because of my fear. You know, cite one example. I'm facing the door right now. Um, I always have that fear of people trying to break into the house. So I have a lot of things just right within arm's reach. And I ran scenarios like, um, if there's a break-in, this is what I'm going to do. I'm gonna do go there and here, and I'm gonna use that, and I'll go straight to attacking like this, and whatever is like that. So, yeah, my if you can see my mind, it's like it's like a room. Oh, do you know the scary room for uh any carnival? It's gonna be, yeah, just like a horror house. Yeah. So what's happening outside? Let me just pause for a while. All right, and so, but that's not a fear that we're talking about. Well, fear of failing. Okay, if yeah, most of us um are being crippled by fear of failing, so it will stop us from doing something. And it's very important to think that if we are not going to try, yeah, we really failed. So we should not be stopped by fear. We should keep on going, right? Just push yourself to go forward. Just do it. Do it regardless of what's happening. Just focus on what you're doing until you get there. Yeah. I think that's what you can do. So start by controlling your emotion, self discipline, right? And what else? What else can we do? Okay. So, aside from doing that, the things that we do are also contributing in building our self discipline. Say, for example, fitness trainings, you know, when you do this simple, consistent workouts, uh, aside from having the benefits of a fit body, it's also pushing us, you know, pushing us to um, build self discipline, right? Just doing it with no excuses, being consistent. Consistency is the key. Being consistent, that's building on your um, tolerance, building on your mental toughness also. So it is not just physical, it's also building you mentally and spiritually. So simple things, simple workout, jogging, you know, using body weight, those things are part of building a discipline. Also, fuel for your body so you can go. Do you know that when you are not eating the right food accordingly, it also contributes in you failing to train yourself, you know, have a good discipline, you know. So you are what they eat, you are what you eat accordingly. If you eat junk, your personality is gonna be junk. That's what they say. So it's very important having a nutritious food also, food intake. It's part of discipline. Okay. Yeah. I'm guilty of this. I cannot discipline myself to not eat junk foods. Soda, energy drinks like that. But yeah, it's a process. Like you said, it's a process. It's not like a. It's not like you do this now and you'll be forever like that. No, it's a process. You have to do it forever, and you have to start somewhere, and you have to start now, here, right? So If you fail, start again. And that's what I do. So it's very important eating nutritious food and avoiding sugar and processed food will help you maintain your discipline. And of course, recovery, sleep. Sleep is very important. There's actually a doctor who says we should sleep at least more than 16. I don't know that. I think it's a 16-hour accumulated or 12 or 8 hours accumulated sleep. That's what they said. I heard this in a podcast a long time ago, so I cannot exactly give you what he said, but that's what he said. Sleep is very important. It resets our body, and rest break is also part of discipline, you know. So because if your body is tired, okay, you will start to you know, your guard will start to go down. Yeah, you're gonna break your discipline. So that's that. Sleep is part of building self-discipline. Daily routine. Writing it down is very good, you know. Writing your daily routine. Daily routine builds on developing self-discipline. You know, uh, waking up early, plan your day, and then execute. Okay, and that's gonna give you more time. If you plan your day well, it's gonna give you more time for some activities, extra activities that you need to do, you want to do. On discipline also on our finances, you know, saving consistently, no matter how small the amounts, it's gonna save us. That's they say. Okay. So yeah, guilty in this part here. We have to, yeah, really apply this. So, what's our takeaway here in this sharing that was given to us? Well, self-discipline. If we don't have discipline, like what we said a while ago, freedom is still within the bounds of what is acceptable in a community and in our religion and our belief in God. And freedom can be achieved if we have self-discipline. And self-discipline can be developed if we can work on those things that was talked about a while ago. And how can we work on those things? We start small, and we have to be consistent, you know. Consistency beats motivation, you know. Yeah, that's usually what happens every January, right? Where the membership in gyms go really high because everybody's New Year's resolution is to be more healthy or to be healthy, to lose weight, right? And they start to stop going to the gym after 4 or 6 months, if, yeah, the gym's lucky. Yeah, 6 months. Yeah, I think after 6 months, almost no one is going there now, except those who are really gym buff, you know. So that's because they're really motivated at the beginning of the year, right? But after the motivation is gone, yeah, they will stop going. So, uh, it's like the fire was always strong at the beginning and then it dies off. But consistency is like a fuel that takes you slowly, you know. And consistency should be the one that we should use. Consistency beats motivation. So we should be consistent in everything we do, right? You start small and be consistent. Yeah. If I haven't followed that advice, ever since I restarted this podcast. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I have stopped a long time ago. But ever since I started this podcast, uh, 2015, and then after, yeah, during the pandemic, I started redoing it again. I promised myself to be consistent, to just go on, and yeah, it brought me here, 200 plus episodes. So yeah, it is an achievement for me, you know, being because I was not looking at the end goal. What's the end goal here? I don't even know, but I was enjoying the process of, just being consistent, doing things, just keep doing it no matter what, you know. And yeah, uh, I learned to like appreciate that. Like, yeah, I had, I had it now. I had it this way. Yeah, like, yeah, yeah. I had one recorded conversation with that guy. That is great. Like, his story is great. I'm enjoying the process. So, yep, it's what makes me consistent. Enjoying the process, not looking at the end goal. Because if if your goal is like to be so big, like that's the biggest podcast in the world, like that, and after sometimes it would seem like that's not gonna happen in your lifetime, and you're gonna stop. You'll be disappointed. But if you just look at the process, go through it, just cut your goal into small pieces and just go through it, be consistent, and you will never notice how far the journey you've been. Okay, if you'll try to reflect on it, so yeah, so that's consistency. Structure creates freedom. That's right. If you are disciplined, your life has routines, has structures, you know, and that's freedom. You're free. You don't have wasted time, wasted money and wasted energy. And that's going to be freedom, right? It's freedom. Physical discipline strengthens mental discipline. That's right. That's why in our tip on having self-discipline, we have that one. We have to exercise. You know, training your body trains your mind. And lastly, last takeaway from these things we talked about today is that freedom is earned, right? Freedom is earned. It's not free. Like everything in this world, nothing's. I remember the song of shout out to Uncle Bob Aliping. I think I had a podcast with him. We had it, and we might be having another one in the future, wherein we'll be talking about these songs. So he said, in one of his songs, nothing's free, no work, no pay, nothing's free. Like uh, one of his listeners said that, yeah, Jesus is free, and still you have to go to Jesus. You have to open your heart and believe in Jesus for salvation, right? There's still an effort there. The problem here is when we say free, people will automatically default to think about money, right? But this is not it. It's not all about money. Okay, we might not pay for it, but we need to exert, or we need to do an effort, create an effort to achieve it. So it's the same. Freedom is earned. Every disciplined choices builds a life with fewer limits. So going back to our definition of freedom. So freedom is doing something within the limits of course, the law. And for us to have our personal freedom, we have to build our self-discipline. And thus, it's true that discipline is equals freedom. That's it for this episode of El Maestro Speaks podcast. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll be seeing you again next time.